Today I'm going to be discussing some of the upgrades I've done on the Slash 4x4 VXL system here. One of the first things you'll notice as we take the cover off is I've added the body clip clips here. So these, you just drill a small hole wherever you want the opposite end to attach, and then these clip right onto your body clips. So you don't have to worry about losing those. Keeps them handy. Alright, we'll go ahead and get the cover off here. One of the first things you'll probably notice is I've installed the Dusty Motors chassis cover. This has a nice zipper in the middle and adheres to the side of the chassis with a Velcro adhesive. So this cover is removable in case you need to clean it or access anything inside. But under normal use, this will keep a lot of the dirt particles from getting inside your motor system and components here. So it keeps them clean, easier to maintain as well. So I've installed that. This motor cover or chassis cover is breathable. This still allows air to pass through to allow some heat to dissipate naturally. But you do want to be careful, especially if you're in hot conditions or running over asphalt even. You want to watch your motor temperatures just to make sure that you're not holding too much heat in. Now if we move to the front end, you'll notice a few things here. I've gone ahead and installed the RPM control arms in blue for the front here. So I had a few instances with some front end crashes that resulted in the stock control arms breaking along this point here where the pin goes through. So after those broke, I went ahead and upgraded the RPM version here just for a little bit extra protection and durability. You'll also notice in the front here I've added the Stampede 4x4 shock guards. These were made for the Stampede model, but they do fit on the RPM control arms. So you have the slot here for the sway bar kit if you have it, and then typically I've found if you use the far outer screw hole here, it'll line up to about the middle shock position, which works pretty well. So you'll also notice for the shocks that I've installed the blue aluminum shock caps. So these will hold on to your shocks a little sturdier. You'll notice sometimes with front end crashes that your shocks may pop off, like the caps will just pull right off. So these hold on to the threads a little bit tighter, so you don't have to worry about always replacing or screwing back in the shock caps, replacing the oil. If your standard shock caps do pull off enough, it could even damage the threads on your shock so that eventually it just won't hold on. You'll have to replace the shock. The Dusty Motors chassis cover also comes with these shock socks. So these are nice. You can cut and install those on your shocks to protect them, any dirt from getting stuck to any shock oil that may be around there. Keeps your springs from getting scratched. You'll notice for spacers in the front, I've installed one medium and one large, and that seems to give the car a pretty good stance for just my everyday driving around. Also in the front, I've added the Hot Racing sway bar kit. So if you can see there, this comes blue aluminum as well. The blue aluminum bar is about their medium strength, and so that adds some extra stability to the car and will help reduce the car from flipping. So that pretty much covers the front upgrades. If we go to the rear, it's pretty similar setup. I've added the RPM green control A-arms, and then you'll also notice, if you can see, the rear hub carriers I've upgraded to the STR Racing blue aluminum. And systematically, I've been upgrading or switching over the bearings to the Avid Revolutions kit. So those are go ahead and replaced as well. And then we also have the sway bar kit installed in the rear, matching the front with the rear shock caps installed as well. For the rear shock setup, very similar to the front, I have one large and then two medium for the rear setup. So that keeps it in a pretty good stance, keeps it a little tighter, so it'll tend to drift more as opposed to gripping and flipping over. So depending on your preference, you can adjust those, but typically one large and one medium is a pretty good standard setup, and you can play around reducing or adding from there. Now if we go ahead and open up the motor kit, just notice on the motor cover, I cut a small slot just for the antenna to peek through there, so it's not pushing up against the motor cover. And then one of the first things we'll talk about here is I've added the Apex Racing blue heatsink, and so that clips right onto the VXL motor, fits very snug, and will help dissipate heat from the motor. I've also gone ahead and added the King Zone aluminum motor mount. It's kind of hard to see from this angle, but that's there as well. So that also acts as a little bit of a heat sink for the VXL system, and then adds a little bit of extra stability, because sometimes the VXL will be known to get warm, and it could even melt the plastic on your motor mount. So it's a good idea if you're running the VXL system just to watch your temps. You can get a laser temp gun just to check it, after a session, just to make sure you're below the limits of that. I've also added the ESC fan from Traxxas as well. So that clips right on the heatsink for the ESC, and it gets its power right there as well. So a lot of these I've added preemptively just to make sure that I'm running everything as cool as I can, so that way there's no damage, and it'll just help make sure everything lasts a little bit longer. So that pretty much covers the upgrades that I've done on the VXL 4x4. It's been a great truck so far, and I have more videos coming showing what we're doing with it.